Hey YouTube, this is Licious Kid from ClimaxCombo, and we are back with another Leaks of the Week. I'm extremely late on this one. I was really busy this week, so yeah, I apologize for that, but nonetheless, I'm still gonna do it. For this one, it's October 20th to 24th, and right after that, I'm gonna do the proper week that I should be doing. But yeah, this week is not much, so it should be a fairly quick video. This week is still only SAO2 extra boost or SA2 trial deck and not on hot booster because like I said I'm late. Those came out already 2 weeks ago, so yeah, and also this week starts the Island Master booster along with the SAO extra booster. So with that out of the way, I'll just get right to it. So October 20th is this Kirito event card 1/1. So what this card does is if you do not control a Kirito, you cannot play this event. And its other effect is choose one character, gains plus 2k and the following ability until the end of the turn. When this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may draw a card, and then you can place this card into stock. Um, I I think this event's actually pretty cool because it pretty much pays for itself. Because of course this card does go into stock no matter what. You give something 2k, and this card replaces itself because you get to draw a card. So essentially, it replaces the stock you use. It replaces the card in your hand, and it helps you win a fight. Of course, you have to win the fight to draw a card, but you should only be using this effect or this event if the 2k will guarantee a kill. So yeah, I think this card's cool. I like it, but I don't know if it's gonna be ran in like the competitive SAO decks just because as of right now, yellow or blue is not the strongest color, but I assume blue's gonna be really good after the new extra booster just because blue seems to be the main focus of it because of Kirito and Sinon. But in the trial deck, so as of right now, it might not be really good. And also, a lot of players run the 1/1 sacrifice event backup. So if you're running like two of those and two of these, it might be a little too event heavy. Also, there's not a lot of good Kirito cards. So yeah. But like I said, this could all change once the new extra booster comes out. So maybe keep your eye on this card. However, for the trial deck, I do think this is it's a really good card for the trial deck. So yeah. Next up, this is Hayate 1045R. She combos with the pants here. What she does is when this card declares an attack with the pants, you may clock yourself 1 damage. If you do, this card you get to draw a card, and the card gains plus 2k until the end of the turn. Uh, and once again, the climax is the pants. I think this card is okay. Because it breaks even because you clock yourself and you draw a card, and then she gains plus 2k, so she should be a 1065 before assist, and of course with the climax she becomes a 1075. And she does get to replace herself by because of you allowing you to draw a card. Uh, not bad. And her name is Hayate, which I think is the most important part because of the level 3 Hayate we saw a couple weeks ago. And that card requires you to discard Hayate or Reigns. And since there's not many good Hayate cards, I think this card being an okay one. If you're planning to run that level 3 Hayate, I think you should consider running this level 1 Hayate as well, just to fill your Hayate count. Also, the pants trigger, it's not the worst. I mean, it's not the best, but at least you still get to plus. Uh, yeah, it's not that bad. However, of course, as you go on further into the game, this climax combo becomes more questionable because of the fact that you have to clock yourself. And of course, starting like level 2, and definitely at level 3, you really don't want to be clocking yourself. So, questionable, but since it's a Hayate, and that level 3 Hayate is actually really cool and good, I think this card becomes playable just because of her name, and the climax combo is fairly decent. So yeah. Next up is Tuesday's leak. 227k, 2 soul. Of course, he has a condition. He's avatar weapon as per usual. When he declares an attack and your opponent controls a target trait, this card gains 3k until the end of your opponent's next turn. This is actually pretty good for the trial deck because the trial deck is focused on this trait giving mechanic, and since the opponent will always have something with a trait because of all your cards, this card will essentially always be a 2/2 10k for 2 soul, which can be quite a nuisance at level 2. And I see a lot of newer players when they start off, like sometimes they don't even consider level 3s just because the fact that they think 2/2s are very powerful because they also swing for 2 soul, and they could come out as early as level 2, and the fact that they have a much higher power than level 1s. I see a lot of newer players starting off with trial decks, like 2/2s. So I guess for a trial deck for those newer players, I think they'll probably think this card is OP. However, for a normal deck, I don't think it's very good. Just because I'm not a really big fan. I'm not a big fan of 2/2s, and of course, this being a 2/2, I just kind of don't like. It's a bit biased on my part. Also, the fact that you need to run that trait shenanigans in a normal SAO deck, but yeah, and of course, I don't think in a normal SAO deck you're gonna be really using that trait mechanic or the trait gimmick. But maybe, who knows? Maybe after the extra booster, the trait thing will actually be pretty good. But in general, I think for the normal decks or normal SAO decks, I don't think this card is going to be used. I think you should just save the stock for level 3. However, for the trial deck, since if you buy one trial deck, you usually don't have a playset of level 3s, and this 2/2 can do the job of attacking for 2 soul and being a 10k base. So yeah, in general, I think there's a good card for the trial deck. Next up is a 105k Nanoha. Magic and weapon. When your other magic or weapon characters declare an attack, this card gains plus 1k until the end of the turn. The magic and weapon or magic weapon characters are generally the better cards. The only thing that's not really a magic or weapon, I think, is Hayate, because Nanoha and Fate are magic or weapons. So this card should work with most cards in the deck. Her being 105k and her being able to hit 107k before assist is pretty good, because it's costless, and hitting costless 7k is not bad at all. Also, the fact that her name is Nanoha, adding to the level 3 that we saw last week, the level 3 Nanoha that requires you to discard more Nanohas for her effect to go off. Her being Nanoha helps fill that effect, and her being costless, I think makes her a playable card. And she's common too, so I think it's there's no harm in her, or it's a good card for common. Next up, Wednesday's leak. Your good old pair of vanillas in the trial decks. This time it being Asuna and Elizabeth. Really random. It should have been Kirito and Sinon, but whatever. Next up is this Fate 1145 common, magic and clone. What she does is when she's played from hand to stage, you may discard a card. If you do, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. If choose up to 1 magic or animal amongst them, add it to your hand and discard the remaining amount. Its other effect is you can place 2, choose one of your magic or animal characters, and gives plus 2/5 until the end of the turn. There's a card very similar to this in Thursday, so I'll go over the Thursday card and compare the two first. So first, like I said, I'll go into Thursday now. Once again, your good old pair of vanillas, 105.5k Xenon, very cute. 2185 Kirito, vanilla, very cute. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, and then the card that I'm saying that is quite similar to this one. This is a 0015 common, magic and clone. What this card does is you may look at the when she's on the stage, you can pay cost, which is pay 1, place this card into memory. If you do, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Choose 1 magic or clone character amongst them, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then discard the remaining amount. So both of these are very similar in the fact that on play, you must that you can pay cost, and you can look at the top 4, and then choose a character amongst them, add it to your hand. This one suitures for magic and clone. This one suitures for magic and animal. Magic and clone is generally, this card generally searches out for Nanoha and Fate. This card generally searches out for Nanoha, Fate, and Arf. And Arf. However, I like this card over this one, because this one doesn't have a cost on, you don't need to pay cost on play to use her effect. So if it's mid to late game, and you just, or even early game, whatever the reason may be, you don't want to use the check top 4 effect, and you just want like a beater to attack an empty slot, you can just toss this 0/0 in there, and then do so. However, you can't really do that with this one because it's a 1/1. Even if you don't want to use this card's effect, you must pay the 1 stock, which kind of sucks. However, and also this card can send itself into memory because it's pay 1, send this card into memory. Nanoha does have some memory shenanigans, or I should say recollection shenanigans, like they need 2 recollection usually, like for the 3/2 Lightning Fate, because it gets plus 1k if you have recollection 2. Sonic Drive Fate, you need at least 1 card into memory for the card to get its recollection abilities. So they do have recollection based cards, and of course this 0/0 does help fill that recollection need. Of course, this card can search out more targets in the form of the ARF. And ARF, there's only one really good ARF card in the top of my head, which is the 0/0 Assist. It gives like 500 to all fates and an extra 500 on your turn. Not really sure how it works at the top of my head. However, that card is really good for those fate-centric decks. And if you're running those fate-centric decks, then I guess you can run this to search out the ARF. However, if you're running like a normal, maybe like a red-yellow build, I do like this Nanoha better just because of the fact that it's costless. So you can just play it on an empty border and attack anytime you want. Also the fact that this card sends itself to memory. Sure, this one is a bit more power, but it's still very weak for level 1. And the fact that its other effect of pay or just rest 2 character given magical animal 2/5 until the end of the turn, it doesn't make this card worth it. So in my opinion, if you're going to choose an effect like this, I would choose the 0/0. But that's just me. If you're running a lot of ARFs, then maybe you could run this. However, I think that that's the only really good ARF card at the top of my head. Well, I guess there's the backup for the ARF, but still. I like this Thursday one much better. And lastly, Friday. Usually Fridays before or when it's the Friday of a set that's being released, of the 24th, Nanoha and XAO trial that got released that day. They usually just re-leak a couple level 3s and nothing exciting happens. However, this time Bushiroad decided to start the leaks for the SAO2 Extra Booster, and as you can see, the Idolmaster Booster, which I think is really cool because, you know, it kind of sucks having a day of leak that doesn't show anything. So, but this time we actually got something new. So with that out of the way, I'll get right to the first card of the extra booster. So this is not the trial deck card. This is 0/0 Kirito. He's an R avatar and weapon as per usual. This card is really good. So what he does is during the when this card declares an attack, choose one of your other characters with Xenon in its name, and gains plus 1k until the end of the turn. Its other effect is during the start of your opponent's attack phase, you may place the top card of your deck to the waiting room. If that card is an avatar or net character, you may move this card to an empty border on your center stage. That's essentially, as you guys can see, he is a runner. Runners by themselves are very playable and very good because of many reasons. I'm sure you guys do know the reasons, but I'll just go over them really quickly at the top of my head. It conserves your hand size because if it runs successfully, they can't kill it. Puts more pressure on them because, of course, if the character doesn't die, then it gets to live, gets to attack again, gain you an extra stock, deal extra soul damage, and just generally annoy your opponent. And sometimes it can force your opponent to, or it can make your opponent do bad plays by making your opponent commit 3 cards and then try just to kill the runner. However, that is not how you should be dealing with the runner. You should just generally let the runner just run because committing 3 cards from your hand at level 0 is definitely not a good idea. So yeah, in general, runners are always very accepted in any series just because they're just super good. And this Kirito is definitely no exception. However, every runner does have a condition they have to meet, except Azusa, because Azusa is bullshit. However, this one is very easy condition because you mill the top card of your deck, and of course, if it's an avatar or net, you get to run. However, SAO, every card is avatar or net. So this card has a very high chance of running. Of course, you run 8 climaxes, and if you run, let's say, 2 sacrifice events or 1 sacrifice event, you still have a lot of 3/4 of your card is still avatar or weapon. So this card should be successfully running most of the time. Its first effect is meh. It's kind of dependent on how many Xenons you're running, but it's an okay effect because I guess when as the game goes on, if you have a Xenon, and if usually later into the game you have 3 characters on your front stage, and of course when you have 3 characters you can't run, making this Kirito's run ability useless. However, you can still attack and give a Xenon plus 1k, and it can help make the difference. So a first effect's not bad. I guess it's nice to have. You can't complain because if this card just had the run ability by itself, it would still be playable. But having the plus 1k pump is nice. Also, if you do have a full field, you can still activate this card's effect and mill the top card. If you do hit something and you can't run, it doesn't matter. You can still pay the cost of milling yourself to run, even though you can't run. And it's actually quite helpful because during when your opponent starts to attack and they attack you, you can mill the top card. And if it's a character, sure, you don't get to run. However, you do help yourself take 1 less damage. It sucks when you hit a climax, but usually it works out, and you usually cancel 1 more damage. So do keep that in mind. It's also a very nice card. So in general, this Kirito is a fantastic card. Next up is this interesting card, the 00R. It has all the members of the Idolmaster group. It's music. I guess before we get started, once again, I apologize, but I am not that familiar with the Idolmaster series. I haven't been playing this game long enough to know like the really old series with multiple sets. Like Idolmaster has like 5 sets. Yeah, another example is like Little Busters. I don't know it because it's old and has a million sets. The Capo, old million sets. Um, Fates, not too familiar. Milky Holmes, not too familiar. So once again, I do apologize for that. However, I guess I know an okay amount of Idolmaster because my friend has an Idolmaster deck. But like I said, I don't know like every card in the set. So if I'm missing some obvious synergy, like always, do leave them in the comments below. But with that out of the way, here's this card 0025R Music. What this card does is it combos with the book right here. And when this card declares an attack with the book, you may pay cost, which is clock yourself 1 damage, discard 3 cards. If you do, search your deck for 1 yellow, 1 green, and 1 red, and 1 blue character. Show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. And yeah, essentially you break even with this climax because you have to clock yourself 1 damage. You play the climax itself is a -1. You then have to discard 3 music characters, which is -4. However, of course you +4 because you get a yellow, a green, a red, and a blue. So in the end, you do break even. However, of course, this card is pretty good if you can get it off because since you're grabbing them from your deck, you do compress yourself by 4 cards, which is actually a very big deal. Like after the first refresh, if you can get this climax combo off, you'll probably push yourself really far ahead, assuming you don't trigger any climaxes. But still, like I said, you do take out 4 cards from your deck, which is very good because that's 4 less damage you can take. However, of course, as you guys can see, it is all dependent on if your deck can successfully use this effect consistently, because you do have to search for a yellow, a green, a red, and a blue. You have to grab 1 of each color, and not every deck can run 4 colors. There are some decks that run 4 colors in their level 0 game, and if you run enough of those level 0s of every color, then this climax combo may be plausible. But of course, it can be, iffy because mid game, if you don't have any yellow characters left in your deck, you play the climax combo, you can only grab a green, a red, and a blue. At that point, you are minusing yourself 1, and then it becomes not as good, but you still do take out 3 cards from your deck, but still you still minus yourself, which hurts, and of course you're still clocking yourself, which hurts. So, but at level 0, if you can get this card off, it'd be pretty crazy. But still, like I said, I like the climax combo, but of course, not very plausible because not every deck is running 4 colors, and of course, it is all very dependent on, it's dependent on your build, and still, even if you can run all 4 colors, it can still be inconsistent because there will be times where you cannot grab 1 of every color, and if you can't grab 1 of every color, then it becomes not as powerful as it can be. And I'm sure there are better climax combos than this. I'm sure the movie booster will bring a lot of good cards to the series, and the series will probably need some really good cards because Idolmaster is kind of falling behind in the current meta. So hopefully the new cards or the new booster will bring them back. So in general, this card is cool. However, I don't think it's very, very, what is the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the proper word, but I'll just say playable. But yeah, that is all for this week. Nothing too exciting, I guess, just some fairly decent cards. But yeah, this is the final week for SAO2 Extra Trial Deck and Nanoha Booster. Came out on the 24th. Like I said, I'm very late on this. I do apologize. But in general, I do think the SAO2 Trial Deck is very good. It's a very powerful trial deck. It has heals, which we haven't seen in a long time. It has a pretty cool synergy with the Death Gun trait. It has a decent search ability with the 1-1 Kirito Climax combo, and the event's not bad. So in general, I do think this trial deck is good. Very good trial deck, actually. And if you have any friends or yourself and you're a beginner or you just want a new trial deck to fuck around with, I do highly recommend the SAO2 trial deck. And the SAO series in general is a powerful set. So, if you have any friends trying to get into Weiss, recommend them the SAO2 Extra Booster or SAO2 trial deck. And if they do like it, they can go on from there. Also, I do think the new Nanoha Booster, the new cards in it, I think are very cool and good. All the level 3s are very interesting and very playable in my opinion. And for that reason alone, I do really think the Nanoha Booster will help Nanoha, climb up the tier list, I guess. There's no real tier list. Well, I'm not going to bring that up because every time someone mentions a tier list and why things get crazy. But anyways, I really do hope that the new booster will bring Nanoha up to par with the other decks, and perhaps we will start seeing Nanoha more in the competitive scene. But that is all I have for this video, guys, and until next time.